One of the most powerful realizations that I've had over the past 5 or 6 years whilst building my personal brand, scaling my coaching, consulting, info offers, was this one statement. You don't have a brand if somebody else can say the same thing with the same power or influence as you. That statement completely transformed how I do everything because it's so true. If somebody else can say the same thing with the same power as you, where is the differentiation? And this is unfortunately what the whole industry has become. And it's why it's also never been easier to be successful. Because there is this saturation of clones. I.e., everybody is coming into the coaching, consulting, agency, info market online and just creating content saying the same thing as absolutely everybody else. So what happens is the average income of all of these people just dilutes. Let's say, hypothetical number, there was 1 billion spent, 1B spent in a market through these coaches who are pretty much all saying the same thing. Well, now there's millions of other people who have come in and they've just split that 1 billion into 1,000, God knows how many more pieces. So the guy who was a bit of a clone, I've been there, I've done that back in 2022, but I had a realization. Yeah, maybe those guys were making 30, 40K a month, but those very same guys who stay in the clone category, and now everybody coming into the space, that's why they're all making 2, 3, 4, 5K a month and struggling. Because what was once 40 for sounding like a clone is now 2 at a push. And this category of people will be completely extinct. Why? Because everybody can say the same thing with the same power. What I'm going to show you in this video are 3 very conscious strategies, levels of awareness that I have and I teach all of my clients inside Brand, okay, on how to actually build a brand that is differentiated, on how to actually become one of one. And guys, it has never been easier to make a ton of money. Why? Because so many people are over here in this clone, and then when you just stand out, you stick out like a sore thumb. The authenticity, the identity of the brand, how human you sound, right? You really stand out, and that is magnetic. When everybody else just scrolls past these clones. Every mindset coach, every fitness coach, every relationship coach, every business coach, and they just keep scrolling. Why? Because someone else can say the same thing. They've already heard it. So guys, here are the 3 most important things that if you implement them today, not only are you going to make a ton more money and have a bigger impact, but you're actually going to build a brand that feels like you, which is going to give you internal alignment. You actually like what you're doing again, because that's the reason you wanted to get into this space, and then you built a brand or tried to build a brand that became a prison and you just felt like you were selling your soul. So the first thing that you need to do is your brand, your offers, you need a unique mechanism. This is one of the first things we do in the identity extraction process that I teach all of my clients. We have to craft you a unique mechanism. What I mean is you can't just educate the same thing from a textbook that 1 million other people are saying, because then you just sound like everybody else. Now nobody cares. You have to build your brand around, let's see if I've got a different pen. You need to build your brand around your identity. You need to build your brand around your story, right? Not just what everybody else is saying. So let's just use a fitness coach as an example, right? Everybody might just say, oh, I just give you a meal plan and I tell you how to train and it's just very generic. Well, if that's your way of getting results for your ICP, isn't that the same as 10 million other coaches? So then you just come into this price war, and that's why they're left with no money. Whereas what you need to do is this comes into another point, and you're going to see how these all really tie together. You need to understand your ICP with extreme depth. Okay, so when you are building this unique mechanism, how you do this is you have to craft this around your own transformation, around your own story. So instead of just being like, I got for this fitness example, but this could be any niche on the planet. Let's just say you got in shape. Instead of just saying, okay, now I'm going to become a fitness coach and teach everybody the same thing as everybody else because that's what everybody else does. No, you truly build something one of one. You go, right, who was I? And who did I want to become that I have now become for this example? And what we're all like, your offer is not a guarantee. Your offer is a transformation. It's the prescription. But then you need to really reverse engineer. How did you get the results that you got that allowed you to get the outcome you have and then all of the positive side effects, the desires as a byproduct? What were all the things you did? Was there something in your daily routine that you did with your calendar? Maybe you tightened up your environment and you stopped speaking to certain losers. Maybe you didn't just hit calories, but you were very specific on macros and nutrient timing because that's what you did to achieve how you wanted. It wasn't just about fat loss for you. Maybe you wanted to become really aesthetic, but one of the big things I had with my old elite offer was that I didn't just want to become aesthetic and get lean. What I wanted was being a high-performance entrepreneur. Now, I had been someone who had been crazy aesthetic, 6-7% body fat, and I had no brain function. None. So I loved being aesthetic, but I hated how my brain performed when I was running a 7-figure brand. Now, I'd also tried being this guy who just fueled his body with nutrition for just pure focus, like went pure carnivore, went from like bodybuilder extreme to carnivore extreme, and I became so focused. But at the same time, I just hated then how I looked because after 1 month it was okay, but I just got softer and softer and softer because I had less intramuscular fullness because there was no glycogen. So what I found were I'd built this process, a 6-step process in what I called the entrepreneurial athlete system, which was the umbrella name for my unique mechanism. And within that umbrella, the entrepreneurial athlete system, there was all the components we did. There was a very specific way I trained to become aesthetic, but also be a high-performing entrepreneur. There was a very specific way on how I set up my calendar. There was a very specific way on how I hit my macros and where I timed them in the day. There was a very specific mindset process that I went through every day to go and achieve my goals. It was more than just fitness. It was about high performance, body, mind, spirituality, and financial. So to this ICP, who I knew, I always thought I had this realization, effectively that if my soul had known that surely you didn't just have to be this bodybuilder, or you didn't just have to be this hyper-focused guy. My soul knew there was a way to do all of it. That became my ICP. I was like, well, if my soul knew that, someone else's soul out there in the universe is also this guy I used to be who wants the same situation. You know, is probably someone who has been trying to get in crazy shape, but then they hate that brain fog. And then they really want to build their brand, or whatever business they're in, or maybe they're a high-ticket closer, or maybe they're in e-com, or maybe they're a trader, or whatever it is, but it requires cognitive performance and output. And they just hated that they were just choosing one or the other, and it left them feeling empty. And I was like, I'm going to help just that person, just that young, high-performing guy who wants to build the body and the psychology. And the statement, the tagline for this was, weaponize your physiology and psychology to become a 7-figure asset. Now, this program, I don't actually run it on its own anymore, but I actually give it for free inside my university. So now I have different stuff. I have my university, I have the brand, private mentorships, and they actually progress more into like done-for-you offers as well, okay? But I actually give my old entrepreneurial athlete system inside my Build the Brand programs because it's just so important that you do build the body and that you do work on the psychology. But what it allows is when I'm teaching, okay, it allows people to come to me. The right person. I really want you to understand this. This ICP, everyone else is just teaching generic. Whereas what I did, I crafted something so well for me and my specific pains, my specific situation, my specific problems to get the very specific outcome and all of the desires that come as a byproduct. I weren't trying to help the world. I built a unique mechanism that crafted the perfect reality and result for me, and that's the person I was trying to help. And that unique mechanism became such a perfect fit for that specific ICP, and I knew them in extreme depth. So then, when it came to making content for this ICP, I could speak to them to a level that nobody else on the planet could. This specific ICP. Because everyone else was almost trying to cast this net out there and speak to the world. But when you speak to everybody, nobody listens. What I did was I just focused on those people that had the same feeling in their soul as me. Just like me building my brand. I didn't want to be this generic coach that was capped at 20K, 30K, 50K a month. I wanted to go and be uncapped, but also have a brand built around my identity where no one else was saying the same things as me. And I wanted my entire business to be inbound. All of my offers now, I built 4 7-figure coaching consulting offers, all from inbound only, all sell by chat, without outbound, all people coming in. Because I built my business in a way that became magnetic, intentionally, because I didn't want to be this other thing. Now that appeals to people who also have the same desires as me, who can listen inwardly and go, right. So can you see how I understand this in depth? Now most people speak at men who are, let's say 20 to 30, or they might speak at men who want to get in shape, right? For this example, but you could pull this if you're a sales coach, if you're a mindset coach, a relationship coach, an e-com coach, trading coach, I don't care what you do, a real estate coach, they speak at like a niche. I don't speak at a niche. I speak at one person. Now, I want you to think about this. When I create a video, when I create an Instagram post, when I create a YouTube video, when I create the videos inside all of my programs, I don't speak even to the level of just mums or just dads. I speak to the level of specificity, to the mental syntax, to the belief systems, to the positive character traits, to the negative flaws, to the mistakes they're making, to their internal dialogue of not just mums, my mum. So I imagine when I'm creating a video, I'm not creating a video to you guys, I'm creating a video to you because I know exactly who you are. It's like I'm on a call with my mum. I can say things to my mum that nobody else would know, that also don't apply to other mums. They just apply to my mum. So when I say you need extreme ICP depth with your communication and how you articulate things and how you explain things, it needs to be so specific. Therefore, when people are watching your content, they're like, this guy's fucking got me on a freakish level. It's like God put him there. Well, maybe he did. I believe that. I believe that God works through people. Okay? Now, here's the next thing. Speak from your heart, not from your mind. Everybody falls in the trap of listening outwardly into all of the noise. And then they hear something and they churn it up inside, and then they go and re-articulate the same thing back out. So they saw Alex Hormozi, they saw Grant Cardone, they saw Andrew Tate say something, their ears were wide and they were just soaking all in, and then they were just re-articulating the same thing back out. Well, guess what? Someone else has said the same thing, and you didn't just say it with the same power as them, you said it with 100 times less power than them. Because there is something very unique, guys, that most people don't comprehend. And there are principles. So you may have gone, oh, well, it worked for Alex Hormozi, it made him X amount. So if I say the same thing, it's going to make me X amount. No. The principle of what he said was correct. They made a lot of money. But the underlying principle that then made that work was his soul. It was his heart. He spoke it from his heart. He didn't regurgitate it. When someone else regurgitates, even what might be correct, it doesn't land. There is an energy projection through the camera. There is an energy projection in real life. And when someone, their words are just coming to their heart, you feel that. So that's why if people go and copy something that maybe I said or something that someone else said, it doesn't land. What you have to do, this is what I teach inside brand and inside the university, is like the principles of psychology and branding that actually get the right people from not knowing you to now knowing you to now being able to buy from you and seeing you as the only solution. Okay? So that you understand those principles, that then you can say those things that fundamentally work and create buyers, but then you have that supercharged turbo on the back of it, which is your soul. You're saying something which is fundamentally, principally correct, but your soul can say it. Because just saying something that is principally correct is incorrect. It has to be principally correct plus your soul. And how we do that is through these things. So you've got to become very good at spending time in solitude. You've got to become very good once you understand psychology of what actually creates buyers. You've got to become very good at what is your internal dialogue? What is your mental syntax? What is your soul saying to you that effectively allowed you to go from here to now here with this new level of expertise, outcomes, and desires? What was that? What happened internally? And if you can speak from your soul and you can give someone else what you heard, whether it was conscious or subconscious, someone else will be able to make the next steps into action and lead them to you. Guys, if you action these things, you're going to have a killer brand. Like I said, everyone is just a clone these days. It's never been easier to go and make money and actually do that, doing what you love. I was in the barbers this morning, and he was like, what do you do for work, bro? I'm in Bali, at my place in Bali right now. He goes, what do you do for work, bro? And I go, I've got a coaching consulting brand online. And he goes, he asked about my villa, and he's like, how much is it? I was like, oh, it's quite a lot. I told him how much. He goes, bloody hell, how much do you make? And I was like, well, I just basically just went, well, here's my Stripe. This morning, it's 10:55 now, it was 8:45 a.m. then, and there was already 15,000 dirhams, which is like 3K by 9 a.m. And I've not done any sales, no sell by chat, no sell by call. This is just inbound buyers. He goes, this is why. It's never been easier to do this, guys. All right, let's get it, let's go. Guys, if you want to check out more on this entire system, you want to learn my full 8-step brand system on how to build effectively a 10K to 100K plus a month brand by turning who you are, your identity, into a one-of-one brand. Check out the free masterclass below if you're already ready to get stuck in at a high level. There's also my university and there's also my private mentorship. All right, see you in the next video.